Good day everyone, we are from Group 17. Today, me and my group members will discuss on crimes and death penalty in Malaysia. In this discussion, we had included the introduction, brief explanation on causes, positive and also the negative impacts of the topic. The death penalty, often known as capital punishment, when a person is sentenced to death by the state as a punishment for a crime. These crimes are referred to as a capital offences or capital crimes. Many societies have used capital punishment now, including 58 countries use this death penalty while 97 of them abolished it. In the past, it was typically for the ruling party to make the offender's unlawful deed unknown across the community. As a result, if the public was made aware of the consequences of breaking the law, crime would decrease. Burning to death, burning at the stake, hanging, and a variety of other punishments were among them. Since the British colonial rule, when the mandatory death sentence was first imposed for murder, the death penalty has had a position in Malaysian criminal justice. Although the British colonial government allowed to pass the Dangerous Drug Act in 1952 to combat the threat of drug-related substances, it did not include the death penalty until 1975. This is when the government's anti-drug campaign began and capital punishment was made a discretionary penalty for drug traffickers. In 1983, this penalty was made mandatory.
Hi everyone, my name is Mahalashmi from BNS Cohort 5. Today I'm going to present about the advantages of death penalty. Death penalty is a method for giving equity to victims while keeping everyone safe. There is an assumption in the society that you should be able to have the option to carry on with your life without the danger of damage. At the point when there is somebody who chooses to conflict with the assumption by committing a violent crime, then there should be steps taken to give every other person the security that they deserve. Although arguments can be made for recovery, there are individuals who might proceed with their violent tendencies regardless of anything else. The best way to protect individuals in those conditions, yet give a feeling of equity to the people in question, is the utilization of death penalty. Next is, it stops the danger of an escape that elective sentence will create. The quickest method for preventing a crime from proceeding to kill individuals is to dispose of their capacity to do so. The death penalty does that. Death penalty makes it unthinkable for somebody indicted for murder to track down ways that kill others. Failing to execute somebody who is taking a life unjustly, who can kill another person, makes us all responsible for that activity. Although there are issues from an ethical outlook about ending any life, we should remember that the sentenced criminal pursued the choice to violate the law in any case, realizing without a doubt what their potential result will be. Other than this, it likewise offers society a suitable consequence for violent way of behaving. There are criminals who genuinely want to restore their lives and make new futures for themselves inside the limits of the law. There are likewise criminals who want to proceed with their criminal ways of behaving. By keeping the death penalty as a choice inside society, we make a suitable outcome that fits the actions made by the criminal. Death penalty guarantees that the individual included can never again make devastation for everybody since they are no longer around. That cycle makes harmony for the people in question, their families and society overall. Thank you.
Thank you, Maha and Miru from BNS Cohort 5, and I'm going to explain about the disadvantages of this topic. First point is capital punishment is cruel and unusual. It is cruel because it is a relic of the earliest days of penology, when slavery, branding, and other corporal punishment were commonplace. Like those barbaric practices, executions have no place in a civilized society. It is unusual because only United States of the Western industrialized nations engage in this punishment. It is also unusual because only a random sampling of convicted murders in the United States received a sentence of death. Second point is the death penalty violates the constitutional guarantee of equal protection. It is applied randomly and discriminatory. It is imposed disproportionately upon those whose victims are white offenders, who are people of color, and on those who are poor and uneducated and concentrated in certain geographic regions of the country. Third, death penalty is not viable form of crime control. When police chief were asked to rank the factors that in the judgment reduce the rate of violent crime, they mentioned curbing drug use and putting more officers on the street, longer sentences, and gun control. They rank the death penalty at least effective. Politicians who preach the desirability of execution as a method of crime control deceive the public and mask their own failure to identify and confront the true causes of crime. Fourth, a society that respects life does not deliberately kill human beings. An execution is a violent public spectacle of official homicide, and one of the endorses killing to solve social problems. The worst possible example to set for the citizenry, and especially children. Governments worldwide have often attempted to justify their lethal fury by extolling the purported benefits that such as killing would bring to the rest of society. The benefits of capital punishment are illusory, but the bloodshed and the resulting destruction of community decency are real. And that's all my points for disadvantages. Now I will pass to Shamini. Thank you.
Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about the causes of abolish the death penalty. So there are many causes that abolish the death penalty. So one of the major cause is the risk of executing innocent people exists in any justice system. So there have been and always will be the cases of execution of innocent people. No matter how developed a justice system is, it will always remain susceptible to human failure. Okay, next, second cause is the death penalty does not deter the crime effectively. That means that the death penalty lacks the deterrent effect, which is commonly referred to by its advocates. It is noteworthy that in many retentionist states, the effectiveness of the death penalty in order to prevent crime is being seriously questioned by a continuously increasing number of law enforcement professionals. And the next cause will be the death penalty is incompatible with the human rights and human dignity. That means the death penalty violates the right to life, which happen to be the most basic of all human rights. It also violates the right not to be subjected to torture and other cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment.
Good day to all of you. My name is Hanisha Bhaskaran and I'm from Faculty of Pharmacy. As a conclusion for today, the implementation of death penalty consistently splits up families and generally results in criminals being hanged rather than experiencing the consequences of the crime they even committed. The death sentence is regarded as harsh and unusual as it violates the amendment. Perhaps criminals do not deserve such harshful death sentence or other severe penalties for the crimes they have committed. When the death sentence is used to penalize criminal offences, equal protection under law is violated. To avoid wasting limited resources and violating the right to equal protection under the law, the capital punishment should be entirely abolished. In certain nations like America and Singapore, the death sentence is nevertheless an effective form of punishment, even if it may never be fully justified. We can now only hope that perhaps the court's decision will be fair and valid because the death sentence is very brutal and irreversible. Even while the death penalty is still opposed by the legislative bodies in several countries, most people still support it. In the best case scenario, it could be claimed that Parliament is setting an example for the defense of human rights and is still publicly proclaiming that killing has always been immoral and unacceptable. Though they can never be brought back from death, innocent individuals can always be released from jail. When someone is being killed, there is no hope for rehabilitation of offenders to atone for their wrongdoing. Because of this, the death sentence has been referred as the bluntedness of blunt instruments. All from us today. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.